3 weeks after the Harvest Festival battle, the great throne room of the Velthari Empire looked completely different. The whispers of doubt and scorn had been replaced by voices of respect and admiration. Noble lords and ladies, who had once mocked their queen, now stood straighter in her presence, understanding finally what Marcus Chen had seen from the beginning. Queen Zixara sat on her throne, no longer hiding in shadows, but commanding the room with quiet confidence. Her mobility chair had been upgraded with New Earth Alliance technology, giving her greater freedom of movement. But more importantly, she no longer felt the need to apologize for her existence. Marcus stood beside the throne, his wounded leg healed but still bearing a slight limp that he wore like a badge of honor. His simple diplomatic uniform had been replaced with the ceremonial armor of a royal advisor, a position created specifically for him by the grateful queen. "The tribunal has reached its verdict," announced Judge Velkarin, the Empire's highest legal authority. Before them, General Kethmer, Admiral Dexani, and Lord Vexther stood in chains, their faces pale with shame and fear. "General Kethmer," the judge continued, "you are found guilty of high treason, conspiracy with enemy forces, and attempted regicide. Your military honors are stripped, your property seized, and you are sentenced to life imprisonment on the prison world of Kaldor Prime." The former general's shoulders sagged in defeat. His dreams of power and wealth had crumbled into disgrace and exile. "Admiral Dexani, Lord Vexther," the judge said. Turning to the other conspirators, "You are found guilty of the same charges. You will join General Kethmer in exile, where you will have the rest of your lives to think about the empire you tried to destroy." As the traitors were led away, Queen Zixara felt no satisfaction in their punishment. These had been people she trusted, people her father had trusted. Their betrayal still hurt, but she had learned an important lesson about the difference between loyalty and fear. "Your Majesty," said Captain Jurin, now promoted to general in recognition of his loyalty during the crisis, "the Corvin fleet has withdrawn from our borders. Our intelligence suggests they are in complete disarray after losing their inside." Sources, Marcus nodded approvingly. "Without detailed information about your defenses and patrol schedules, they cannot plan effective attacks. They have gone from having a major advantage to being completely blind." "And our new alliance with Earth?" the Queen asked Scott Colonel Sarah Mitchell, who had remained on Velthari Prime as the first Earth Alliance ambassador, stepped forward. "The defense pact has been ratified by both governments, Your Majesty. Earth's deep space monitoring stations are already providing early warning data for your border systems. Our joint patrol missions begin next week." Queen Zixara smiled. The alliance had proven beneficial beyond even her hopes. Human technology complemented Velthari capabilities perfectly, while Earth's innovative tactical thinking had revolutionized the Empire's military doctrine, but the changes went deeper than military cooperation. The revelation of the Queen's true character had transformed Velthari's society in unexpected ways. "Your Majesty," said Minister Teleron, one of the younger nobles who had risen to replace the traitors, "the applications for government positions have increased by 300%. Citizens who were previously overlooked due to physical differences or unconventional backgrounds are now seeking to serve the Empire." Marcus was not surprised. Queen Zixar's example had shown the entire galaxy that strength came in many forms. Across the Empire, people who had been dismissed as defective or unsuitable were discovering that their unique perspectives made them valuable contributors to society. "There is something else, Your Majesty," Minister Teleron continued. "We have received formal requests from 12 other star systems asking to join the Velthariath Alliance. Apparently, news of our victory over internal corruption has spread." Throughout this sector of the galaxy, the Queen exchanged a look with Marcus. Neither of them had expected their desperate fight for survival to inspire others across the stars. "Which systems?" as Marcus asked. "The Centauri Federation, the Rigel Trade Union, the independent worlds of Tau Ceti, and several others," the minister replied. "They are all smaller powers who have been struggling against larger, more aggressive neighbors. They see our alliance as a model for how different species can work together for mutual benefit." Queen Zixara considered this carefully, and expanding. Alliance would bring both opportunities and responsibilities. "What does Earth think about this expansion?" she asked Colonel Mitchell. "Our government is very interested," the colonel replied. "Earth has always believed that diversity makes us stronger. It's an alliance of many different worlds and species, each contributing their unique strengths, could become a powerful force for peace and stability in this region." Over the following months, the alliance continued to grow. The Queen and Marcus worked together to establish the protocols and principles that would guide this new Confederation of Worlds. They called it the Mutual Defense and Prosperity Alliance, though most people simply referred to it as the Alliance. The key to its success was the lesson that Queen Zixara and Marcus had learned during their own partnership. True strength came not from dominating others, but from recognizing and utilizing everyone's unique capabilities, human innovation in technology and tactics. Combined with Velthari knowledge of galactic politics and trade, Centauri expertise in stellar engineering merged with Rigel mastery of interstellar commerce. Each member world brought something valuable to the whole. But perhaps the most important change was in how the Alliance treated individuals who were different or disabled. Queen Zixara's story had spread across dozens of worlds, inspiring countless people who had been told they were broken or worthless. "Your Majesty," said Dr. Cathera, the Empire's new Minister of Social Development, "the rehabilitation centers on 15 worlds are reporting unprecedented success rates. People who were previously considered unemployable are finding meaningful work in government, science, and the military." Marcus smiled at the report. "It turns out that when you stop seeing differences as weaknesses and start seeing them as unique strengths, people accomplish amazing things." The Queen nodded. "My condition forced me to think differently than other rulers. That different thinking saved our empire. Imagine what we could accomplish if we helped everyone discover their own unique strengths." 1 year after the Harvest Festival battle, Queen Zixara addressed the Alliance Council for the first time. Representatives from 23 worlds gathered in the Great Chamber that had been built to accommodate different species and physical needs. "Friends and allies," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast room. "1 year ago, I was a queen hiding in shadows, ashamed of my appearance and doubted by my own people. Today I stand before you as the leader of the strongest alliance this galaxy has ever seen." The applause was thunderous, coming from beings of a dozen different species. "This transformation did not happen because I became physically stronger or more beautiful," the Queen continued. "It happened because someone saw past my appearance to recognize my true capabilities. Marcus Chen of Earth taught me that real allies do not judge by appearances, but by character and actions." Marcus, now bearing the title of Alliance Strategic Coordinator, felt a warm pride as the Queen's words reached across the chamber. "Today, our alliance grows stronger not because we are all the same, but because we are all different," Queen Zixara said. "Each world, each species, each individual brings unique gifts to our common cause. We do not seek to eliminate our differences, but to celebrate and utilize them." The room erupted in cheers again. Representatives who had once been enemies now stood side by side, united by shared principles rather than shared appearances. "The galaxy told me I was broken," the Queen said, her voice growing stronger. "The galaxy told humanity they were primitive. The galaxy told all of us that we were too small, too weak, too different to matter. Today, we prove the galaxy wrong." The Alliance Council session concluded and representatives from across the stars prepared to return to their home worlds. Marcus and Queen Zixara stood together on the balcony, overlooking the capital city. "Do you ever regret it?" the Queen asked quietly. "Throwing your life away to protect someone you barely knew?" Marcus looked out at the bustling city below, where humans and Velthari and a dozen other species worked side by side, building something new and beautiful. "Your Majesty," he said with a smile, "I did not throw my life away. I found it." The Queen laughed, a sound of pure joy that carried across the evening air. "So did I, my friend. So did I." In the distance, Earth Alliance patrol ships flew alongside. Velthari cruisers, their formation perfect, despite the different designs and capabilities of their vessels. It was a symbol of what the Alliance had accomplished. unity without uniformity, strength through diversity, and the proof that true allies could overcome any obstacle when they stood together. Queen Zixara had discovered that the human warrior was indeed her main ally. But more than that, she had discovered that she was stronger than anyone had ever imagined, including herself, and together they had built something that would protect and inspire generations to come. He brought her back from the brink now. Even the alien queen bows in thanks Dr. Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the computer screen. The numbers made no sense. After 20 years of studying alien biology, he had never seen anything like this before. The research ship Endeavour floated quietly in space, far from Earth. Marcus worked in the medical bay, surrounded by strange machines and bottles filled with samples from different planets. His job was simple: study how alien bodies worked and find ways to help both humans and aliens when they got sick. But today was different. Today something impossible had happened. Dr. Chen called Sarah, his young assistant. She ran into the room, her face pale with worry. "You need to see this message," came through the emergency channel. Marcus looked up from his work. The emergency channel was only used for the most serious problems. Wars, plagues, or disasters that could affect entire star systems. "Show me," he said. Sarah pressed a button, and the main screen lit up. A strange, clicking voice filled the room. The words were translated by the computer, but Marcus could hear the fear behind them. "This is Commander Thex of the Zephyrian Empire," the voice said. We need help. Our Queen Mother is dying. If she dies, we all die. Please, someone help us." Marcus felt his heart skip. The Zephyrians were one of the proudest species in the galaxy. They looked like giant insects, with hard shells and glowing patterns on their bodies. They had built an empire across 50 star systems, and they had never, ever asked for help from anyone. "When did this come in?" Marcus asked. 10 minutes ago, Sarah replied. "It's being sent to every ship, every planet, every space station. They're desperate." Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars twinkled in the darkness. Somewhere out there, an entire civilization was dying. He had studied the Zephyrians before. They were amazing creatures who shared thoughts with each other through their minds. Every Zephyrian was connected to their Queen Mother, like fingers connected to a hand. She was their brain, their heart, their everything. If she died, billions of Zephyrians would lose their connection and slowly fade away. "Sir," Sarah said quietly, "there's more. The message includes medical data about the Queen's condition." Marcus turned around quickly. "Show me everything." The screen filled with charts, numbers, and pictures of the Queen's brain. Marcus studied them carefully, his excitement growing with each line he read. "This is incredible," he whispered. "Look at these patterns, Sarah. The neural cascade failure, the synaptic breakdown. I've seen this before." Sarah looked confused. "But sir, this is an alien brain? How could you have seen it before?" Marcus smiled for the first time in days. Remember Dr. Harrison from the medical conference last year? She had a patient with something called cascade neural syndrome. It's very rare in humans, but the patterns are almost identical. He pulled up his old research files on the computer, side by side. The human brain scans and the Zephyrian Queen's brain scans looked remarkably similar. "Yes. The treatment for humans is complex," Marcus continued, "but it works. We use neural dampeners to reduce brain activity, then slowly rebuild the damaged pathways. But for the Queen," he stopped talking and stared at the data. "The Queen Mother's brain was 1,000 times larger than a human brain. She was connected to billions of other minds across space. The treatment would be incredibly dangerous, sir," Sarah asked. "What are you thinking?" Before Marcus could answer, the communication system buzzed again. This time, it was Captain Rodriguez from the bridge. "Dr. Chen, we're getting reports from across the galaxy," the captain said. "No one wants to help the Zephyrians. The Galactic Council says it's too dangerous. The medical stations say it's impossible. Even the advanced species like the are refusing to get involved." Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. How could they just let an entire civilization die? "Captain," Marcus said, "I need to speak with you privately." 20 minutes later, Marcus stood in the captain's office. Captain Rodriguez was a tough woman who had served in space for 30 years. She listened carefully as Marcus explained what he had discovered. "So you think you can save their queen?" she asked. "I think I have to try," Marcus replied. "The treatment exists, the knowledge is there. But I need to get to their homeworld to do it." Captain Rodriguez shook her head. "Marcus, that's crazy. Zephyrian space is dangerous. Other alien species are already moving their fleets, thinking the Zephyrians are weak. If we go there, we could start a war. If we don't go there, billions of innocent beings will die," Marcus said firmly. "Captain, this is what we signed up for. To explore, to help, to make the galaxy a better place." The captain was quiet for a long time. She looked out the window at the stars, thinking hard about the choice in front of her. "The other species will call us fools," she said finally. "Them," Marcus replied. "Maybe being fools is what makes us human." Captain Rodriguez smiled slightly. "All right, Dr. Chen, we'll take you to Zephyrian space. But I want you to understand, once we cross into their territory, there's no guarantee we'll make it out alive." Marcus nodded. "I understand. But I also understand that somewhere out there a queen is dying, and I might be the only person in the galaxy who can save her." 2 hours later, the Endeavour changed course. While other ships fled from Zephyrian space, the small human research vessel headed straight toward it, in his medical bay. Marcus prepared his equipment and reviewed his treatment plans. He thought about his wife back on Earth, about the quiet life he could have had as a simple doctor. But he also thought about the Zephyrian queen, fighting for her life while her empire crumbled around her as the ship jumped to faster than light speed. Marcus made himself a promise. He would save the Queen Mother, no matter what it cost him. Because that's what humans did. They helped others even when it seemed impossible. Even when the entire galaxy thought they were crazy for trying. The journey to Zephyrian space would take 3 days. 3 days to prepare for the most important medical procedure of his life. 3 days to get ready to save a species he had never met. In a place where no human had ever gone before, Marcus looked out at the rushing stars and smiled. He was scared. But he was also excited. This was his chance to prove that sometimes the impossible was just another word for something no one had tried yet. The Endeavour dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder that ran through the entire ship. Marcus pressed his face against the window of the medical bay and gasped at what he saw. The Zephyrian homeworld hung before them like a dying jewel. The planet that should have glowed with millions of lights now flickered weakly. Entire continents that once blazed with Zephyrian cities were now dim and fading. "My God," whispered Sarah, standing beside him. "It looks like someone is slowly turning off the lights." Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the communication system. "Dr. Chen, report to the bridge immediately. We're being contacted by the Zephyrians." Marcus hurried to the bridge, where the main screen showed a Zephyrian officer. The alien looked exhausted. His shell, which should have been bright green with glowing blue patterns, was dull and gray. His 6 arms moved slowly, as if each movement caused him pain. "Human ship," the Zephyrian said in his clicking voice. "I am Commander Thex. Are you here to help our Queen Mother?" "Yes," Captain Rodriguez replied. "We have a doctor who believes he can treat her condition." Commander Thex's large eyes focused. "On Marcus? You are the healer?" Marcus stepped forward. "I am Dr. Marcus Chen. I have studied your queen's medical data. I believe I can help her." For a moment, Commander Thex said nothing. Then his shoulders slumped with what looked like relief. "Follow my ship to the capital. But know this, human. Many of my people do not trust aliens, us. Some would rather die with honor than accept help from outsiders." The flight to the planet's surface was like traveling through a dying dream. Marcus saw Zephyrian cities that stretched for hundreds of miles, but they moved like sleepwalkers. The flying vehicles moved slowly and clumsily. Even from space, he could see Zephyrians collapsing in the streets. Without their queen, they're losing their coordination, Marcus explained to Sarah as they prepared to land. "Imagine if your brain started shutting down piece by piece. That's what's happening to their entire civilization." The capital city was the largest structure Marcus had ever seen. Massive towers twisted into the sky like the legs of a giant spider. At the center stood the royal hive, a building so enormous it had its own weather system. Clouds formed around its highest peaks. As the Endeavor landed at a special platform, Marcus felt his heart racing. He had brought all his medical equipment, but he wondered if it would be enough. He was about to attempt something no human had ever tried before. Commander Thex met them at the landing platform, along with 20 Zephyrian guards. The guards held energy weapons and watched the humans with suspicious eyes. "I must warn you," Commander Thex said as they walked toward the royal hive. "Many of our people blame aliens for our queen's condition. There are rumors that alien technology caused her illness. You may not be welcomed." Marcus nodded. "I understand. I'm not here for a welcome party. I'm here to save lives." The inside of the royal hive was breathtaking and terrifying at the same time. The corridors were huge, designed for beings much larger than humans. The walls pulsed with a faint light, like the inside of a living creature. Marcus realized that in many ways this building was alive. It was connected to the Queen Mother herself. As they walked deeper into the hive, Marcus noticed something disturbing. The walls were getting dimmer. The pulse of light was slower and weaker than it should be. The entire building was dying along with its queen. "How long has she been sick?" Marcus asked Commander Thex. 3 months, the commander replied. First, we thought it was just fatigue. Our queen works very hard, maintaining mental connections with billions of our people across 50 worlds. But then the connections started breaking. By one, our distant colonies lost contact. Our people began to move like they were asleep. They entered an elevator that rose for what felt like an hour. When the doors opened, Marcus stepped into the most magnificent room he had ever seen. The royal chamber was the size of a football stadium, with walls that curved up into a dome covered in stars. But at the center of the room, Marcus saw something that made him catch his breath. Queen Mother. Zerlith was enormous. She was easily the size of a small building, her body a graceful combination of insect and something far more majestic. Her shell should have been brilliant gold and silver, but now it was fading to gray. Patterns of light that should have danced across her surface flickered weakly like dying fireflies. "She's beautiful," Sarah whispered. Around the queen stood dozens of Zephyrian nobles and doctors. They turned to look at the humans with expressions that ranged from hope to anger. One of them, wearing elaborate decorations that marked him as a high-ranking official, stepped forward. "I am Lord Vex of the High Council," he announced in perfect English. "Why should we trust aliens with our queen's life? Your species is young and primitive. What can you possibly know that we do not?" Marcus felt the weight of every eye in the room upon him. He knew that his next words might determine whether the queen lived or died. "You're right," he said simply. "Humans are young. We haven't built an empire across the stars like you have. We don't have your advanced technology or your incredible mental abilities. But sometimes being different is exactly what's needed." He walked closer to the queen, pulling out a small medical scanner. "May I examine her?" Lord Vex looked angry. "You dare approach our queen without permission?" But a weak voice filled the chamber, seeming to come from everywhere at once. It was the queen herself, speaking through the living walls of her hive. "Let ... him come," the voice whispered. "I can ... feel his ... intentions. He wishes ... to heal ... not harm." Marcus approached the queen slowly with respect. Up close. He could see that she was even more magnificent than he had imagined. Her eyes, each the size of a car window, tracked his movement with ancient intelligence. He activated his scanner and began to take readings of her brain activity. What he saw made his heart sink. The neural cascade was worse than he had thought. The queen's mind was literally burning out from the effort of maintaining connections with billions of other minds. "Your Majesty," he said softly, speaking to the giant being before him, "I believe I can help you. But the treatment will be dangerous. I will need to temporarily break your connections with your people." A gasp of horror went through the room. Lord Vex stepped forward angrily. "Impossible," he shouted. "If you break her connections, our people will die." Marcus turned to face the assembled Zephyrians. If I don't try, your queen will die for certain. When she dies, your people will die anyway. Eh? The queen's voice whispered through the room again. How long would the disconnection last? Several hours, Marcus replied honestly.
Oh, maybe longer.
I won't lie to you. It's the most dangerous thing I've ever attempted. But it's also the only chance you have. The chamber fell silent. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat in the quiet. Everyone was waiting for the queen's decision, finally. After what felt like forever, the queen spoke. Do it, she whispered. Save my people, human doctor. I trust you. Lord Vex looked furious, but he bowed to his queen's wishes. Marcus felt the weight of an entire civilization settling on his shoulders. In a few hours, he would either save the Zephyrian Empire or watch it collapse forever. Marcus worked through the night, setting up his medical equipment around Queen Zeroleth's massive form. His hands shook slightly as he connected the neural dampeners. Devices designed for human brains, but modified for the Queen's alien physiology, Sarah, helped him arrange the quantum neural processors in a careful pattern around the Queen's head. Each machine hummed softly, ready to take over some of the Queen's mental functions during the procedure. Are you sure about this, Marcus? Sarah whispered. If something goes wrong, then billions of people die, Marcus finished quietly. If we do nothing, they die anyway. Lord Vex paced angrily near the chamber walls, surrounded by other High Council members. They spoke in rapid clicks and buzzes, their voices filled with doubt and fear. The human will destroy her, Lord Vex declared loudly enough for Marcus to hear. No alien can understand the sacred connection between our queen and her people. Commander Vex, who had remained loyal to the queen's decision, stepped between Lord Vex and Marcus. Our queen has chosen to trust the human doctor. Would you go? Against her wishes, our queen is dying. Lord Vex snapped back. Her judgment may be clouded by pain and desperation. Marcus tried to ignore the argument and focus on his work. He had studied the queen's brain scans for hours, mapping out exactly where he needed to place each neural dampener. The procedure would be like performing surgery on a living computer that controlled an entire civilization. As dawn light filtered through the crystal dome above, Marcus made his final preparations. He looked up at Queen Zeroleth's enormous eyes, which watched him with a mixture of hope and ancient sadness. Your Majesty, he said softly, I'm ready to begin. The first phase will reduce the neural activity in your mind by 60%. You'll feel disconnected from your people, but that's necessary to stop the cascade failure. The Queen's voice whispered through the chamber walls. I understand. Doctor, do what? You must. Marcus activated the first neural dampener. Immediately, the patterns of light on the Queen's shell began to dim. Her breathing slowed. Her massive body relaxed as the overwhelming mental pressure eased. But throughout the Hive City, something terrible began to happen. Reports flooded in from across the planet. Zephyrians in the streets were moving even more slowly. Some had stopped moving entirely, standing frozen like statues. The connection that held their society together was weakening. The outer colonies have gone completely silent, Commander. Dex reported, his voice tight with worry. We're losing contact with entire star systems. Lord Vex pointed an accusing finger at Marcus. See what your human medicine has done? You're destroying us. Marcus felt sweat beading on his forehead, but he continued with the procedure. This is temporary, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Once I repair the damaged neural pathways, the connections will be stronger than before. He activated the second neural dampener, and the Queen's breathing became even slower. The light patterns on her shell flickered and went dark. For a terrifying moment, Marcus thought he had lost her. Then her voice came again, weaker but still present. Continue. I can feel the lifting. Marcus began the most delicate part of the procedure. Using microscopic tools guided by quantum computers, he started to repair the damaged connections in the Queen's brain. Each neural pathway was like a highway carrying the thoughts and feelings of millions of Zephyrians. He had to fix them without breaking them completely. Hours passed. Marcus worked with the precision of a master craftsman, rebuilding the queens mind piece by piece. Sarah assisted him, handing him tools and monitoring the life support systems they had attached to the queen's body. But then alarms began blaring throughout the hive. Commander Vex rushed into the chamber, his face pale with fear. "Doctor, we have a serious problem. The Krathari battle fleet has entered our star system. They think we're defenseless." Marcus's blood ran cold. The Krathari were a warrior species known for their cruelty. They had been enemies of the Zephyrians for centuries, held back only by the Zephyrians' superior coordination and tactics. "Many ships?" Lord Vex demanded. 300 warships, Commander Vex replied. "They'll reach our planet in 6 hours." Lord Vex turned to Marcus with fury in his eyes. "This is your fault, human. You've left us defenseless against our enemies." Marcus looked up from his work. The Queen's neural repair was only half complete. If he stopped now, she would die for certain. But if he continued, the Krathari might destroy the entire planet before he could finish. "How long do you need to complete the procedure?" Commander Vex asked. Marcus checked his instruments. "At least 8 hours. Maybe more. We'll all be dead by then," Lord Vex said grimly. The Queen's weak voice filled the chamber. "Doctor, you must, continue. Even if, we die, must, try to, save us." Marcus felt the weight of impossible choice crushing down on him. Continue the surgery and let the planet be destroyed. Stop and watch the Queen die, along with her entire civilization. But then he remembered something from his medical training. Technique he had learned for treating patients with multiple brain injuries. It was risky, but it might be the answer. "I have an idea," he said suddenly, "but it's extremely dangerous." "More dangerous than being invaded?" Commander Vex asked. Marcus nodded grimly. "I can create a temporary neural bridge between my mind and the Queen's. My brain can help support her mental functions while I continue the repair. It would allow her to maintain some connection with her people during the procedure." Sarah stared at him in horror. "Marcus, that's impossible. The neural feedback could kill you, or worse, it could drive you insane. It's our only chance." Marcus replied, already connecting the neural bridge equipment to his own head. "If the Queen can coordinate her forces, they might be able to hold off the Krathari long enough for me to finish." Lord Vex looked at Marcus with new respect. "You would risk your own mind to save our people?" "That's what doctors do," Marcus said simply. "We take risks to save lives." He activated the neural bridge, and suddenly his mind exploded with sensation. He could feel the thoughts of millions of Zephyrians across the galaxy. Their fear, their hope, their desperate love for their Queen crashed through his consciousness like a tidal wave. For a moment, Marcus thought his mind would shatter under the pressure. But then he felt something else. The Queen's presence, guiding him, helping him navigate the storm of alien thoughts. "I can feel you." "Doctor," the Queen's voice whispered directly into his mind. "Your thoughts different, so individual, yet so compassionate." Through the bridge, Marcus felt the Queen reaching out to her people. Defense fleets across the star system suddenly moved with renewed purpose. Ground-based weapons powered up. The Zephyrian military began coordinating their response to the Krathari invasion. But Marcus also felt the neural cascade starting again, threatening to burn out both his mind and the Queen's. He had to work faster, repairing the damaged pathways while maintaining the dangerous mental connection. "The Krathari fleet is approaching the outer planets," Commander Vex reported. "Our forces are moving to intercept, but they're still moving slowly without full neural connection." Marcus gritted his teeth and continued working. Through the neural bridge, he could feel the Queen's pain as he repaired each damaged connection. But he could also feel her gratitude and her amazement at the strange individual nature of human consciousness. "Your people," the Queen's voice whispered in his mind, "are remarkable. Each mind, so separate, capable of, such unity of purpose." The battle for the Zephyrian homeworld was about to begin. Marcus had to save the Queen and help coordinate the defense of an entire star system, all while fighting to keep his own sanity intact. Marcus felt the moment when the last piece of the quantum virus was finally removed from Queen Zaraleth's mind. It was like watching the sunrise after the longest night in history. Through their neural bridge, he felt the Queen's consciousness expand and strengthen, reaching out to every corner of her vast empire with crystal clear clarity. "It is finished," the Queen's voice whispered, but now it was strong and filled with power. "I can feel ... everything, every ship, every world, every single one of my people, and they can feel me." Across the Zephyrian star systems, something miraculous happened. Ships that had been moving slowly suddenly burst into coordinated action. Defense platforms that had been sluggish roared to life with devastating firepower. Millions of Zephyrians who had been moving like sleepwalkers suddenly stood tall and proud again. But most importantly, the Queen was no longer just connected. To her people, she was connected better than ever before. Marcus's medical treatment hadn't simply repaired her mind. It had improved it. The new neural pathways he had created were more efficient, more powerful than the original ones. "The Krathri fleet is entering our atmosphere," Commander Thex announced, but his voice carried excitement instead of fear. "But our defenses are responding perfectly?" Through the neural bridge, Marcus felt the Queen coordinate the defense of her homeworld. With the precision of a master composer conducting a symphony, every weapon fired at exactly the right moment. Every ship moved to exactly the right position. The Zephyrian forces fought as if they shared a single mind, which, in a way, they did. The Krathri had expected to face a weak and disorganized enemy. Instead, they found themselves fighting the most coordinated military force in galactic history. Zephyrian fighters danced between the enemy ships like schools of fish, striking with perfect timing and vanishing before the Krathri could respond. "Their coordination is impossible," came a panicked transmission from the Krathri fleet commander. "How can they move like this? It's like fighting a single giant organism." Within an hour, the mighty Krathri invasion fleet was in full retreat. Ships that had come to conquer a dying empire fled in terror from forces that moved with superhuman precision. "Victory is ours," Lord Vex announced, his voice filled with awe. "The enemy is fleeing our space." But Marcus barely heard the celebration. Around him, the neural bridge was still active, and he could feel his human mind beginning to fracture under the strain of connection with an alien consciousness billions of times larger than his own. "Doctor," the Queen's voice spoke gently in his mind, "you must disconnect now. You have given more than enough. Let me release you." "Wait," Marcus managed to think back. "There's something I need to show you first." Through the bridge, Marcus shared something that no Zephyrian had ever experienced, the feeling of individual consciousness. He showed the Queen what it was like to be a single mind, separate from all others, making decisions based on personal choice rather than collective will. The Queen was amazed. "This is how humans ... think. Each of you ... is completely alone in your mind, yet you choose to help others? That's what makes it meaningful," Marcus replied weakly. "When we help others, it's because we choose to, not because we have to. That choice ... that's what makes us human." The Queen was quiet for a long moment, processing this revelation. Then she carefully and gently disconnected the neural bridge, allowing Marcus's consciousness to return to his own small, individual mind. Marcus collapsed to his knees, exhausted beyond anything he had ever experienced. Sarah rushed to his side, checking his vital signs and helping him to a chair. "You did it," she whispered. "You actually did it." But Marcus was looking up at Queen Zaraleth, who was now radiating brilliant light across her massive shell. Patterns that danced across her surface were more beautiful and complex than ever before. She was not just healed, she was transformed. The Queen's enormous eyes focused on Marcus. And when she spoke, her voice filled the chamber with warmth and power. "Dr. Marcus Chen of Earth," she said formally, "you have given me and my people the greatest gift possible. You have not only saved our lives, but you have made us stronger than we ever were before." What happened next shocked everyone in the chamber, including Marcus himself, Queen Zaraleth, the mighty ruler of 50 star systems. The being worshipped by billions of Zephyrians as a living goddess slowly lowered her massive head toward Marcus. In a gesture that no Zephyrian queen had ever made to any being, alien or otherwise, she bowed. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Lord Vex and the other High Council members stared in disbelief. Commander Vex stood frozen, his mouth open. In shock, even Sarah gasped at the unprecedented sight. "Your Majesty," Marcus said quietly. "You don't need to." "Yes, I do," the Queen interrupted gently. "In all our history, no one has ever given us what you have given. You risked your mind, your life, your very sanity to save people you had never met. You showed us that individual choice and personal sacrifice can be more powerful than any collective will." The Queen raised her head and looked around the chamber at her own people. "Let this day be remembered forever. Let all Zephyrians know that Dr. Marcus Chen, a human from Earth, saved our civilization and taught us the true meaning of courage." She turned back to Marcus. "I grant you the title of Mind Healer, and I make you an honorary member of our collective consciousness. You will always be welcome in Zephyrian space, and your people will always have our friendship and protection." But the Queen wasn't finished. Her voice grew stronger, carrying throughout the hive and across the galaxy to every Zephyrian world. "Furthermore," she announced, "I declare that humans are to be given special status throughout our empire. Any human ship will receive safe passage. Any human in need will receive aid. Any human world will receive our protection. This is my gift to the species that taught us what it truly means to help others." The celebrations that followed lasted for days. Across 50 star systems, Zephyrians rejoiced not just at their queen's recovery, but at the new friendship with humanity. Human ships that had been turned away from alien ports were suddenly welcomed with honor. Human colonies on the edge of space found themselves protected by Zephyrian fleets. But Marcus himself was more interested in the scientific discoveries he had made. Working with the Queen's mind had taught him things about consciousness and neural function that would revolutionize medicine for centuries to come. He had learned that the mind wasn't just a computer, it was a garden that could grow in ways no one had ever imagined. 3 weeks later, Marcus stood on the bridge of the Endeavor as it prepared to leave Zephyrian space. Queen Zeraleth had personally come to see him off, her massive form visible even from orbit. "Thank you, Mind Healer." Her voice reached him across space. "You have given us more than life. You have given us understanding." Captain Rodriguez smiled as she prepared the ship for the journey home. "So, Dr. Chen, how does it feel to be the most famous doctor in the galaxy?" Marcus looked out at the stars and thought about everything that had happened. It started. This journey as a simple researcher studying alien biology. He was ending it as the bridge between two species, the human who had saved an empire and earned the respect of beings beyond imagination. "It feels like the beginning," he said quietly. "The beginning of something wonderful," as the Endeavor jumped. Too faster than light speed, carrying Marcus home to Earth. The news of what had happened was already spreading across the galaxy. Humans, the young species that most aliens barely noticed, had done something that would be remembered forever. They had proven that. Sometimes the greatest strength wasn't in weapons or technology or vast empires. Sometimes the greatest strength was in one person's decision to help another, even when it seemed impossible.